Good evening, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 30th of November. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture Subset.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, let's have a quick look at ES and the others. Now, we did have some sell signals fixed on Friday morning, but I was warning that chances are we wouldn't be seeing an awful lot in the way of a decline on Friday, and we didn't see one. And actually, although the signal would have made target now, it had already failed, as had the one on NQ. The RT1Y1 survived and has now made target. YM didn't have one. DAX, it survived and is on the way to target maybe, and ESDX didn't have one, or at least one had failed for this last move up. So we're out of sell signals here. We do have some divergences on the RTH charts, which I'll be having a look at. But bottom line, the only sell signal which survived on the US indices has basically made target overnight, so that is done. All right, what am I expecting to see here? Well, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay. Now, what I'm expecting to see here is we had 4 head and shoulder patterns broken down on basically SPX, on the Qs, on DIA, and on IWM, and all 4 of them failed. Had failed by basically Friday lunchtime last week. Now, what this means is that basically every one of those failures has a target back at a retest of the high, and the alternative pattern you would draw here would be a bull flag, and so that on a breakup, and these have all broken over the declining resistance, would also have a target at a retest of the high. So I'm really expecting to see retests of the all-time highs across the board. Is there an alternative? Yes, there is a possible alternative where we have we form a larger flag and we go down and make a lower low. That's a possibility, but what I'm thinking really is more likely to happen is we see some retracement tomorrow. Maybe the day after, we pull back, maybe do 50%, 50 back, and then we continue higher. Now, in terms of supporting that, we've got possible RSI 14 and RSI 5 sell signals spraying on the daily chart, on SPX, on the Qs. A possible RSI 5 alley sell signal brewing. On DIA, we've got both RSI 14 and RSI 5, and on IWM, I think we've just got a we've got a weak RSI 14 and a full RSI 5 sell signal break. So I'm looking for some retracement here. We're already seeing a bit of a retracement overnight. I'm expecting that to follow through tomorrow. And then after we have seen some retracement, then really I'm looking for retest of the all-time highs. So there should be a decent buy, retest of the all-time highs, and we'll see where it goes from there. Where am I expecting it to go from there? Well, at this stage, I'm kind of expecting the existing wedges to continue. We've had multiple opportunities to break up from them. We've not done it. Chances are these are going to hold. So really, we're watching this trend line as possible resistance. That actually gives us a fair amount of space to the upside. These patterns, it's possible we could reach the finishing trend lines and maybe have to redraw the support trend line again, but I think these are getting pretty close to the stage it'll break down and give us a really decent retracement, like a 38 point 38.2 or a 50% of this move up from the April low at 48.35. Any sort of decent percentage of that will be a sizable retracement, as of course it's gone up basically 50% since then, or at least almost that. So we shall see. But in the meantime, we're back on for the center rally that has just started late. And that does tend to be a fairly consistently bullish time of year. We had 4 patterns that broke down. They all failed, and they've all got targets back up at retest of the all-time highs, and that's what I'm expecting to see. So we'll see how that goes. Do we still have any daily sell signals? Yes and no. We do, technically, but they all reach the possible near-miss targets, which means in practical terms, actually, we don't. So at this stage, really, I'm I'm more or less at the stage where, after a rally like this, I would disregard the odds of it getting back. It's called the possible near miss target for a reason. All right, great. Well, let's have a look at the DX chart. Okay, DX, we've got a potential double top here, and as you can see, we've been making decent progress back towards the double top support, which I've got in about the 98.85 to 90 area. This could be a step on the way to actually breaking back into these lows, which is one of the options here. I'm not really leaning towards that, but it is a possibility. And I have to say, obviously, it's not really as though the US government has been doing much to safeguard the sanctity of the dollar. And actually, the stuff they're doing with the Fed here, and talking about undermining the head of the Fed, and second guessing all the decisions, and the Fed, of course, his appointment only lasts till May anyway. I think where obviously it would appear that we are months away from having a non-independent Fed, and that really isn't going to be that great for the dollar. So it may be that we're just seeing some anticipation of that. We'll see how that goes. All right, in terms of the other currency pairs, not a huge amount to see. Kind of looks like a bear flag on GBP. USD JPY has managed to break below this megaphone support, but really there's not a lot to see. So let's have a look at the bigger picture on those. All right. Looking at the US dollar, obviously we have a bull flag, and I'm leaning towards that breaking up because they do break up 70% of the time. However, that does mean they break down 30% of the time, and it could be that we're going to be looking at that. We do have a really nice looking, we've got some decent positive divergence. We've also got a really very nice looking double bottom here, which we are trying to break up from, but it could be it's going to fail here. And I would note that we've been having a test of the 200 DMA, and again, unless we are going to see a really decent rally, that's a pretty obvious level to fail there too. So it may be that it is going to fail there. If that is the case, then we've got a little level topper here with support in the 99 area, which could get us down into probably 97.85, 97.90 area, and we will see how that develops. But these really, I'm looking for move up to 104 or rejection back to 96.22. And at the moment, the action is supporting a move down rather than the move up. Okay, USD, we've got the matching bear flag here that matches the bull flag on US dollar. We've got that same one on GBP. All of the currencies basically have been tracking relatively sideways for months, so we don't have any short-term positive divergence on the daily chart or negative divergence. We'll see. My feeling is to incline towards the upside just because I've seen some amazing retests done in the past, and that is, and obviously they do tend to break up 70% of the time, but that does mean they break down 30% of the time, and obviously that very much needs to be taken into account. Okay, let's have a look at ZB. ZB, more to say about this on the bigger picture chart, but we've got a double bottom here, which is broken up here with a target at a retest of the October high, and at the moment, looks like that could be failing. It's not failed yet, and I think there's a pretty decent chance it's going to make that, and when it reaches that target, that would be the second high of a double top. ZN, we've got a lovely looking double top already, and it looks like that's heading back up into a retest of the high again. Again, I'd be looking for a double top there. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at TYX, no divergence on the daily chart. Wondering, this kind of looks like a bull flag, and this could easily be an inverted head and shoulders forming. If that's the case, we could go a little lower here and go a little higher on bonds to make the on ZB to make that second high of a double top. But it does look as though we may well see a hard fail in the near future as this IHS breaks up towards higher yields, and that would mean lower bonds. So we will see how that goes. Looking at TNX. Situation comparable. This looks like a bullish consolidation. I've got the same little IHS here, but really in terms of the moves we were seeing before this year, this is not well before being last year. Really, this has been compressing for a couple of years, but these aren't huge moves. This IHS is basically just going to break up from here to here, which is pretty small, but it is quite a nice IHS. We will see how it goes, or at least it's fairly decent. And we've got nice looking right shoulders. The pattern wouldn't get us that far. I think it would get us up into about the 43.5 to 44 area, but it may well continue when it's made that. Looking at the hourly charts, no current divergence. Looking at TLT, TLT, this looks like a rising megaphone at the moment, but the topping pattern isn't well defined. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence. Well, no, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal that's fixed. Possible little level top here. It does look as though bonds may well be about to come down and maybe retest this target here at 88.8 on TLT. We shall see how that goes. All right, great. All right, let's have a look at oil. All right, looking at oil, we've got, now obviously I'd moved this over into January fairly recently, but we've got a little level bottom here. That's broken up, and if that continues higher, then that's going to have a target in the 60.75 to 61.15 area. It does look as though it might not make it. I'm kind of... I'm seeing both sides here. So I am thinking that we may go lower afterwards and retest this low properly and maybe go a little lower. HO, we've seen a fairly sharp retrace, over 50%. Obviously, I've got all the new weekly and monthly pivots on here. No current divergence. This kind of looks like a little IHS has formed and is trying to break up at the moment. RBOB, nice looking, well, decent looking. Double bottom broke up and could be failing, but this could just be a bull flag forming. 60-minute sell signal fixed and has now reached the possible near miss target. NG, we had a possible flag here. It's broken up with a target at a retest of this high, and it's already retested this high. This is a potential level top, and we've now got a weak 60-minute sell signal, which is fixed. On GC, I was talking last week about the possibility that we might head directly up into a retest of the high, and well, I'm still thinking that looks like the obvious thing to do. We will see how that goes. Silver has already gone back to the high, retested it, and continued higher. Not seeing anything compelling to say that we're about to turn around here. On palladium, we've got a potential level bottom trying to break up with a target and a retest of the October high, and I'm thinking that may well deliver. On platinum, this is a little level. No, it's quite a double bottom, which is why I haven't marked it in. But I think the next obvious target is a retest this high, and it's most of the way there already. No current negative divergence. HG, I was leaning towards seeing a retest the high. We've seen it. We've got a weak 6-minute sell signal, which is currently flexing. So this could well be the second high of a double top here. All right, let's have a look at metals. Okay. Looking at, hang on, let's just do the oil big picture charts first. Okay, oil, obviously, I'm looking for bottoming patterns on these wedges, and I'm thinking that oil might be looking at a rally of 100. My theory for why that might happen, obviously there are a number of reasons it could be, but I am wondering if we're going to see a collapse of Russia because of the Ukraine conflict. Unless Trump can successfully get the Ukrainians to surrender to him, I don't think the Russians are doing terribly well in this war, and certainly they've long since run out of all the money they had prepared for it. I think the Russians could be in an awful lot of trouble here, and if the Ukrainians don't surrender, and frankly they shouldn't, and the Europeans are not going to be happy with letting them surrender, then chances are, I think Russia either leaves the war and collapses, because the government has spent so much blood and treasure on something which effectively was worth nothing. And secondly, if it just continues, then I think we may see a complete collapse of oil revenues, just because sanctions are biting, and the Ukrainians are destroying all their refineries. They currently destroyed over 40%. And the Russians aren't currently in a position where they can really repair them. Anyway, moving on from that. I'm looking for potential reversal patterns here. On WTIC, I've got a potential double bottom, but if we just went a little lower, then I could get a better looking double bottom. So I'm wondering, as our first rally has come back, I'm thinking that we may well see a full retest of that. On heating oil, We've got a decent looking IHS, and actually it's already broken up, so I'm watching this with great interest. It may be that we're going to see a retest of the low while this morphs into a double bottom. On gas oil, nice looking double bottom here already. This looked like a bear flag, it has continued down, and we've got a pretty decent looking double bottom here now, and we've got a pretty decent looking much larger double bottom here too. I'm expecting that to play out, and I'm wondering what the reason for that would be, because generally speaking it will need a spur of some kind. All right, looking at natural gas. Natural gas, we've gone back up, we've retested this 4.588. We're coming out of the end of the strong seasonal period, and I'm kind of leaning towards this going down again. Do we have much in terms of pattern, of signal support for this? Yes, we do. We've got nothing on the weekly chart, but on the daily chart, this is an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. This is an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. I'm leaning towards the downside here. We will see. Is this a double top? I think it's too large to be a double top. Now, it doesn't mean we can't go down considerably here. This is a very good opportunity to do that. Okay, let's have a look at metals. Okay, gold. Gold is continuing. Hang on. Right. Gold, I have this in a consolidation triangle, and this is the breakup from the consolidation triangle. No current negative divergence worth the mention. I'm expecting this to go back and retest the high. Now, it might not do that immediately, but I'm expecting to do it over the next few weeks. Silver, as I said, has gone higher. Now, this has set up some interesting looking negative divergence on the weekly chart, but got to say, we've had a lot of divergence on the metals charts over the last few months, and all of that just basically has just failed because the move up has been so strong. It may well still be that strong, and we are powering through the last high at the moment, and we're doing gone even further on the futures. I'm thinking this could go up considerably from here. We do have a week's RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but to be honest, even in something which hasn't been so strong for the upside, I wouldn't normally be taking it that seriously. All right, palladium. Got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing on the weekly. The key bit is basically breaking up over this level here, which is the 200 DMA at 1373. This looks like we've broken up over it and are most of the way through converting it. If that is the case, then I'm thinking this may go up quite a lot. In terms of how much, this is a potential IHS neckline. This would be the left shoulder, this would be the right shoulder. A sustained breakup over 1666 would look for a target which would be in about the 2500 to 2530 area. I'm thinking it could do that, and really, if you go back to early 22, at that stage we were up over 3,000. It doesn't look like an unreasonable target. I think that may well be made. All right, platinum. We've got an IHS which is already broken up here with a target at a retest of this high here at 2290. We have not seen anything which is making me think this is failing, although we do have an RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the weekly. We'll see how that goes, but I'm leaning towards this at least retesting the high, and it may well just continue breaking out to the upside. Looking at copper, we had a nice looking double top on copper. I'm slightly annoyed to see that hasn't broken down, but it looks as though we might see another retest of the high. We'll see how that goes. We do have a RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but at the moment we've had a nice double top here for weeks, and it just hasn't shown any sign of breaking down yet. I'm looking for at least to retest this high here at 5.253 in all probability, and then we will see whether this has a shot on the downside, which really it should. All right, GDXJ, we're now getting back pretty close to these highs. Daily chart, RSI 14 sell signal fixed and still live on the GDXJ, nothing really on the hourly chart. All right, looking at GDXJ, again, getting back pretty close to the highs. Daily chart's got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Hasn't quite reached the possible near-miss target. I'm really leaning towards seeing these highs retested at this stage. And GDXJ, no current divergence. And obviously this triangle has broken up and got us pretty close to a retest of the high at 112.45. And I'm expecting to see that. Okay, let's have a look at the other commodities. KC. KC We've now got a double level at weekly pivot, at monthly pivot, and I'm watching carefully to see what happens there. It wouldn't surprise me if it went down, but I'd quite like it to go up and and clear out these current highs and go a little higher. And I'll show you why that is on the daily chart. On sugar, I've been saying that I quite liked the prospects for this pattern making target. At the moment, it's heading off to the target, and that looks pretty good at the moment. So we'll see. I've got that target in the 15.43 area, but we're getting reasonably close to that. On CC, bigger picture, I think we might be continuing down. It's shorter term. Wondering about a rally here. This could be an inverted shoulder neckline. So we could see a right shoulder pullback here and maybe a rally up into 62, 6300 area. That actually is pretty close to where broken support is. So that wouldn't be a bad back test to do. After that, I'm leaning towards the short side. CT has lost its chance a couple of times in recent weeks. Let's see if I can get it back. Aha! I do have a reserve one. Wait a second. All right, looking at cotton. Hang on. Okay, this is the chart I prepared earlier. But obviously we've got a falling wedge here that's broken up. I'm wondering about a possible IHS forming here. And we do have a weak 6-minute sell signal fix. Okay, let's have a look at the lumber chart. Lumber, big falling wedge again. Again, that is breaking up. I'm looking for a reversal pattern on ZW. We've got a very nice looking potential little inverted head and shoulders here. If that breaks up, then that would get us back into about the 560 area, which would be a decent step on the way back to this high retest if it's going to see that. On corn, no obvious pattern here apart from this little IHS, which it spiked right through. We'll see. Soy, I'm still wondering, well, the Chinese haven't actually bought much for the 12 million tons they promised to buy. So I am wondering whether that's actually going to come through and wondering what the effect will be if it doesn't. But I think its working assumption is still that they're probably going to buy that. It's just a bit surprising that it's beginning of December and they haven't done it yet. On soybean oil, nice looking double bottom. It's made target. I'm leaning towards, well, I'm waiting to see whether we can make a new high over this, in which case, setting up higher lows and higher highs. We will see how that goes. All right, so soybean oil leaning towards the upside. Live cattle, we have a falling wedge that's breaking up, and lean hogs, we've got a falling wedge which again is breaking up. All right, looking at the bigger picture charts, coffee, I'm wondering whether we might possibly see a retest of this high here at 4.408. But this is a very nice looking double top already, and it may be that we're just going to break down from here. We will see how that goes. I do have a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and we've got a possible full size one brewing. On the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. Nice looking double top set up, but I am wondering, as I mentioned, about that possible last retest of the high. Looking at sugar, I'm increasingly concerned about this head and shoulders, which is broken down with the target in the 905 area. We'll see how that goes, but we've had a couple of opportunities to come off the lows and have a decent rally. We've not taken them so far. On the plus side, the monthly RSI 14 sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. On the weekly chart, no current divergence. Possible wedge. I've got a possible alternative draw of that here, although I like my previous one because this one never quite made the support trend line. Do we have an obvious reversal pattern here? No. We do have a weak RSI 14 buy signal fixed, but the main one I would have been looking at was the RSI 5 buy signal on the daily, and that has already made target. All right, looking at cocoa, monthly RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and at the moment that's been delivering. The big support here was at 64.27. When we broke that, I was thinking we might see a slide which could take us down into the 1500 to 3000 area, and I'm still thinking that may well be the case. This looks like a counter trend rally. On the daily chart, I would say though that we've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, and I'm liking the prospects for rallying a bit more. We will see how that goes. Obvious resistance above is at the daily middle band at 56.15. All right, let's have a look at wheat. Now, wheat, we've got a double bottom trying to break up here. This kind of looks like a bull flag, so I'm leaning towards this heading up and making that target in the 576 to 580 area. Looking at corn, broken up over the main falling wedge resistance. Nice looking double bottom here. I'm thinking we could see a significant bull run here, and I'm thinking we might see the same on wheat. On the shorter term chart on corn, we've got no current divergence apart from a little weak RSI 14 sell signal, but we've also got this smaller, we've got the bigger picture double bottom, but we've also got this smaller IHS which is broken up, and I'm thinking may well make target in the 495 area. Looking at soybeans, we had a very nice flag here and we've broken up from it. Flags do break up about 30%, and this one would have a target in about the 1250 area. Looking at, bull flags break down 30% of the time and break up 70% of the time. Bear flags break up 30% of the time. All right, looking at the daily chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed and an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, which isn't encouraging for any more upside in the short term. On cotton, we've got a nice looking double bottom here, but it may be that we're going to come and retest the lows and set up a smaller double bottom setup. Since I've been murmuring about this for a few weeks, and we have been making some progress to the downside, so I'm thinking we might see that low retest. Looking at lumber, we've got a nice looking double top here, which has broken down, but we've kind of been drifting sideways since then. This has actually got a target a long way down, and on the bigger picture, I've got this as a bear flag. And that double top has broken down with a target in the about 360 area, and the obvious target for a flag would be to retest this low here at 35250 area. I'm thinking this is what this is going to be doing over the next few months to a year or so. But it would be nice to get confirmation with a break below the flag support, and we haven't seen that yet. All right, great. Let's have a look at crypto. Now, obviously, on the bigger picture, we've got hourly charts which have broken down with the target at a retest 95. And I think there's a pretty good chance it's going to make that target. Now, one thing I was saying last week on, I think, both crypto and the pre-market videos was that the Bitcoin and the others had basically been rallying very, very slightly as equities were going gangbusters to the upside. Now, I said to a couple of times that what my experience of that would be is if you have things that are significantly correlated and one goes sideways while it should be going, let's say crypto goes sideways when it should be going up, then that is a sign that there is a strong trend in one of them, i.e. the crypto, which is just marking time until the other move blows out. And when that move reverses, i.e. the move on equity reverses, then we'll see crypto head down and make its target. So we shall see. I was talking last week about these being bear flags. They're quite nice bear flags. On Solana, we've now almost reached the target, which would be a retest this low here at 121.54. Bitcoin, this would have a target at 80.6, and obviously, as you can see, that's broken down too. On Ethereum, this again looks like a flag which has broken down. Now on Solana, what I would say is this is a head and shoulders, and that's broken down with a target in the, well, it's basically made the target in about the 125 area. But if it's a flag target we're looking at, it's a retest this low here at 121.54. What happens after that? Well, as I said, we've got a target down at 95, and I'm thinking we may well make it. But if we're going to see a strong period of upside on equities, then we may well see sideways consolidation on crypto while that is happening. All right, great. Anyway, in that case, that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Wednesday. Cheers.